On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, the Boston Celtics are officially on the brink. A shocking loss to the Sixers at home in Game 5. Or was it? I don't know. Joel Embiid finally playing like the MVP. That PJ Tucker pep talk at the end of Game 4. If Philly goes on to win the title, and that's a big if, and we can talk about it in a second, there's a lot of basketball left to be played. But if they do, that PJ Tucker speech, I mean, PJ Tucker deserves his own banner just for that speech alone. Joel Embiid in the snap of a finger after that was locked in for the rest of Game 4, was locked in Game 5. Big win in Boston. The Celtics fans are booing their own team. Just absolute pandemonium in the Garden, the other Garden, I should say, the TD Garden, not the real Garden. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. Also in the real Garden, meanwhile, the Knicks are not dead yet. Jalen Brunson, 38 points, 9 and 7 to go with. Very slow start for the Knicks out of the gate. Talking about like vibes and whatnot. Like we thought Julius Randle was waving the white flag, and that's not to say he wasn't. Jalen Brunson was not ready to wave the white flag certainly, but the Knicks coming out tonight looked like they were ready to go on vacation. Looked like they were ready to have their season end. Kicked it into high gear in the second quarter. Had a really big lead, and it looked like the Heat were going to do what they did to the Bucks and just not die and dig their way back in. Duncan Robinson hitting these big shots, but in the end, too much Jalen Brunson. The Knicks survive, and as expected, the Warriors also stayed alive in Game 5. Kind of a ho-hum game with the Lakers. Looked like the Warriors could have maybe pulled away, and the Lakers just refused to go away. But at no point, and really in the second half, did I think the Warriors were not going to win this Game 5. Really, the only interesting thing coming out of this is that the Anthony Davis wheelchair watch is officially on. The Anthony Davis, I saw the replay 30 times. I'm not saying he's faking it. I understand. I'm just like buying. It's only because it's Anthony Davis. If it was another player, I wouldn't even say anything about this. But I watched that replay 30 times. And I'm thinking this man was wheeled off in a wheelchair for that. But also, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I gotta put all. This is the point in the series where we all like start scratching our heads and we're like, is Anthony Davis faking it or not faking it? How many times can this boy cry wolf? I don't know. All I know is that Chris Haynes reported that this man went off in a wheelchair, and suddenly the Warriors-Lakers series is as juicy as we expected it to be. Before the Lakers went up 3-1. Going to do some fraud power rankings as well today. They're fun. There's a fun fraud power rankings, a hodgepodge of stuff going on, not all NBA related. It's a very broad fraud power rankings, and those are always the most fun. All that coming up. Let's get into it. All right, before we get started on the NBA stuff, some quick thoughts on the Trump town hall on CNN tonight. So I thought that I'm kidding. I just want to see TJ's face. I just want to see what TJ would. I just wanted to.
So I was saying, are we getting takes off this early into the podcast?
TJ and I are still in the feeling out process. So I just tried to sneak one past you and see if we had like this moment of like, is this motherfucker for real? Is he really gonna do this?
Tucker Carlson's time slot is open all of a sudden if you're looking to make that pivot.
Yeah, that's true. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that at all. But the only reason I knew that was even going on, to be honest with you, is because all the commercials going on during the NBA playoffs. Which now that I'm bringing that up, now that I'm bringing up the commercials that are being shoved in my face, which as of like up until today was this Trump town hall on CNN. It is now dawned on me, TJ. I don't think I've seen a Dr. Pimple Popper commercial since I bitched about it on the show. I'm not saying I'm the one that made the change, but if other people are saying it, I'll nod along. But I genuinely don't think I've seen a single commercial since I came on the show and was like, why are we seeing all these Pimple Popper commercials? And then it went away. So thoughts and prayers to Dr. Pimple Popper. I hope they're doing well. I hope the show's not canceled. I hope they're still popping. Is it a woman? It's a woman, right?
It might be due to the writer's strike. Honestly, they probably like they ran out of science fiction writers to scheme up the monsters that live inside some of these people's like necks.
Jesus. All right, so NBA action tonight. Warriors beat the Lakers. Ho-hum game, like I said. I mean, the score was kind of close throughout the game. Like, the Lakers just wouldn't go away. The Lakers had no desire, really, to give much of an effort. This felt like a game one from the Lakers, and that like if not game one of this series, but just like a general game one where it's like a feel it out game. It felt like they were just kind of going through the motions for most of this game, and then they would look up every so often, see they weren't down that much, and then decide to start trying, but then inevitably make like a stupid play, or the Warriors would hit a big shot or something. But the Warriors obviously are playing with a sense of desperation. You're at home. It's a must-win game, and the Lakers have a little more flexibility, a little more margin of error. So it played out exactly like I expected, in the sense that like halfway through the second quarter, it felt like the Warriors were going to win. The surprising part was that the Lakers refused to go away, not really because of their intensity. Like they weren't really that great defensively. I didn't think they were playing all that hard. What they were doing was just making shots. And the reason I find this so interesting is because it felt like from an effort standpoint, the Lakers kind of knew it wasn't their night. I don't even think I think they came into the game saying like, if we look up halfway through the third quarter and it's close, then we'll go for it, and then we'll see what happens. They looked up halfway through the third quarter. It was closer than I expected it to be. So they got stuck in this purgatory middle ground where they maybe should have started waving the white flag earlier and gotten ready for game 6, which now, like the series, as we pivot to Los Angeles, you have game 6 in LA. If the Warriors win, obviously goes back to San Francisco. Game 6 is going to be a war. The Lakers do not want to go back to San Francisco, obviously. They want to finish this out on their home court. Signing up for game 7 on the road is insanity. So like obviously they are not going to do what they did tonight and go through the motions on their home court. Obviously the Warriors aren't either, because if they lose, their season's over. I'm so fired up for game 6, but the interesting part of game 5 tonight is the Lakers kind of it felt like mentally they wanted to shut it down, but they kept like making shots. Austin Reeves like didn't get the memo, and he'd hit like a big shot. And then I think was it Schroeder or Russell or somebody, like some of the role guys just kept like making shots that I think like LeBron and AD are like, what the fuck are you doing? We're trying to pack it in. And the reason it's so fascinating is because the Lakers sticking around meant LeBron and AD had to stay in the game, when in a perfect world, if you know you're not going to win, you pull both those guys immediately, rest them up. AD stays in the game, takes a Kevon Looney elbow to the face, kind of ish. Again, I'm not saying it was a weak elbow. I'm not saying that I want to sign up to take that exact same shot to my face. It's just that Anthony Davis has a reputation for this sort of thing, of making it seem like he'll never walk again. And then suddenly he's hitting turnaround Jays, fading away from the baseline with a hand in his face. So I have no idea how severe this is going to be. But when you report that a man goes off in a wheelchair, it has my attention. I'll put it that way. It has my attention one way or the other. Even if this turns out to be like a Paul Pierce situation where he just had to shit, or he shit his pants or something. Like even if that's what it is, this has my attention, because Anthony Davis going off in a wheelchair means either he is not going to be that good for game 6, and this series gets really interesting if AD is not 100%, or weirdly, the better content might be that AD is actually 100% for game 6 and has the game of his life. And we're all just laughing at him like, this man went off in a wheelchair 48 hours ago, and now he's dominating game 6.
What I was going to say was, like when he goes out for a short period of time, he comes back and he looks like Superman. So what happens when he goes out for like over 24 hours? He might drop 80 in the next game.
He's just in a hyperbaric chamber until the game tips off.
Yeah, like Captain America. He comes out just like jacked and like svelte.
No, it really is like he's the like if LeBron did that, if LeBron went off in a wheelchair, I would know LeBron is gonna. I like basically most other NBA guys, not all of them, but a lot of other NBA guys, I'd be like, yeah, they're gonna be fine. Like I saw the replay, like he's gonna be fine. I don't care if he's like Draymond Green got concussed the other night in the middle of the game, and it made him almost play better.
Yeah,
when he threw his, I assume he threw his head back and hit the floor, and that looked really bad, and he just rubbed it off and stayed in the game. And I'm not saying that this is the same thing. I'm trying to be careful here with like being accusatory. It's just interesting that it's the one guy that now doubt starts creeping in your mind, and you have no idea how severe this is. Whereas like if it was other players, we would all have a pretty good sense. Like kind of like what happened with the Kings. Like how I'd make fun of the Kings, or De'Aaron Fox has a boo-boo on his finger, and he's questionable, and I'd roll my eyes and say, all right, he's going to play. We all know he's going to play. Anthony Davis, we know he's going to play, but how effective will he be? Because was this actually like a situation where he's he had his, he's actually concussed and he's going to go into concussion protocol and he's not going to be able to see colors right. And he's going to be vomiting on game day in a couple days, or is it what we all expect it to be? And he's just going to be 100%. And that thing. Yeah, that wasn't, I got hit. What happened was I got hit and like, I couldn't feel my face for like, 10 minutes, but then it was so weird. Like as soon as the game was over, I felt bad. So I'm fine. I'm fine now.
As a concussion survivor, my thoughts and prayers are with Anthony Davis, and I hope he makes a speedy recovery.
How did you get your concussion?
My second and final career play in high school football, I was playing defensive line, and I didn't know what to do once I got past the offensive line. So I looked down the field, and the ball was like 40 yards downfield on a running play. And then while I was turning back around, one of the players that was like on the other team kind of lingering just laid me out helmet to helmet.
Oh, no.
Like launched. I'm a big guy. Launched me up into the air with his head to my head. And I woke up.
Cheap shot?
And then I like came back to on the sidelines and I was like, that had to be a penalty, right? Like, is that allowed? And then I went to the hospital after the game and they gave me a nice neck brace to go to school with as a freshman in high school.
Oh my God! You had to wear the neck brace to school.
Yeah, I couldn't pass the concussion test to get back into eligibility, so I just retired. Two plays. That's.
But it sounds like a cheap shot. It was like he was head hunting. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then you didn't get the flag?
I don't think so,
dude.
So that's my high school football career. Play 1-0, play 2, career-ending injury.
All-time what if this scumbag wasn't head hunting? Where would TJ be now? What would you
probably playing on Sundays?
Yeah, what NFL team would you be playing for right now? I wonder. I got so many concussions playing sports, dude. Because I was addicted to when I played basketball, especially, it got really bad. Like so when I was younger, I was big. I was 6'4" in 8th grade, so like that's how I got on like Odin and Conley's AAU team, and I got like put into this like position to be somebody in the world of basketball, and then I just stopped growing and started sucking immediately. So as that transition started happening, like freshman year of high school, I was pretty good. Sophomore year, I was pretty good. But by the time I was a junior and senior, I realized like the dream was dead, and I'm never gonna be anything. Like I might play in college somewhere, but like any hope of like playing, starting in the Big Ten, like I had dreamed about all that shit was gone. So I did a hard pivot like my junior and senior year into being the scrappy guy, but I was terrible at it because like I don't have the DNA for it. Like I was a prima donna my whole basketball career up to that point. Like I was the guy that didn't like being scrappy. I was whatever. So my junior and senior years, like especially with AAU guys, like when I'm playing on this legendary AAU team and I'm by far the worst player on the team, I would do it was almost like it was so gratuitous. My hustle was so gratuitous and so just disgustingly over the top that I would just dive into the front row to save balls. Like after the ball would bounce out of bounds, it would like hit the bleachers and then I'd come diving in like 3 seconds later. And the whole point was I was trying to give off the vibe that I was a hustler guy. I was like cosplaying a hustle guy,
Yeah.
I was not actually a hustler guy. And long story short, like I got addicted to like the move of like diving into the bleachers and then like kind of stepping over the bench as you're, or like you save a ball and you like jump onto the scorer's table because your momentum is taking, I would do that all the time. And I hit my head a lot on plays that were probably technically dead balls. Yeah. And I was just like dive in and hit my head on the bleachers.
Yeah.
And then I'd go home and I'd be like, Dad, that was awesome, right? Was that a good play? And he's like, I mean, it would have been a good play if you like actually saved the ball, but the ball was out of bounds. He's like, Mark, on one of those, you weren't even checked into the game. You were on the bench, and I saw you.
Were you like the guy on every Big Ten roster that has like a heavy duty shoulder brace on for like Brad Davidson for half a season with a shoulder brace?
I played. This is a true story. And this is why I hate charges. This is why I hate people that take charges because I know how horseshit it is. This was what I made my career off of. My like junior and senior year of high school into college. I took so many charges as playing AAU basketball against guys way more athletic than me that you can actually push the cartilage around in my left elbow still. because I'm such a bad faller. I have like the Joel Embiid gene where I'm just a really bad faller. So when I would fall to the ground, I would hit my same left elbow would hit every single time. No matter, you could drop me on my right side and I would flip over at the last second and hit my left elbow. So I started wearing this massive like Barry Bonds fucking elbow pad. And I'm out there playing shooting guard.
Right.
Like I would wear a t-shirt and this massive elbow pad and like double X shorts. Oh my god, dude. What a scene. But yeah, anyway, thoughts and prayers, Anthony Davis, from two guys from the Concussion Brothers, TJ and I.
I did want to say too, Mike Greenberg is going to come out on top of this looking super right if Anthony Davis is out for an extended period of time.
Why would he say?
He said that Lakers should just rest their starters up front in Game 5. That's what he said this morning or yesterday morning.
I mean, he's not wrong because it kind of goes back to like what I don't think the NBA is rigged anymore because I think
I have a note on this series being rigged, but go on.
Okay, well, I mean, like I don't think it's rigged because I'm trying to figure out what if it was rigged, like why would the Bucks lose? I don't know. I'm starting to have my doubts about. I'm thinking maybe it's not rigged anymore. But part of that too is like the Warriors should have definitely won Game 4. Like if it was rigged, the Warriors would have won Game 4. So the Warriors not winning Game 4 has me questioning it. But Mike Greenberg is a lot smarter than I am, so maybe he knows that it's rigged and knew that the Lakers had no chance tonight, and it was going back to LA. Well, yeah. What's your note? What?
So, this series has been written and told to us all a week ago. I just sent you the TikTok. There's a corgi on TikTok that predicts sports series by shooting a basketball from the top of the stairs into trash cans.
No.
Not only did he have the Warriors beating the Kings and the Lakers beating the Grizzlies, but he's predicted the first 5 games of this Lakers-Warriors series perfectly.
Oh, my God.
He had the Lakers winning the first, he had the Warriors winning the second, then the Lakers winning 2, and then the Warriors winning tonight.
So who wins
and
it all?
he has the Warriors winning in 7.
Oh, my God. I'm watching this right now.
And this corgi is gaining traction.
Steph Curry, is that what it's called? Is that what they call it?
As soon as the Lakers went up 3-1, people said, "Oh my God, the corgi is going to be right." Corgis. And now that Anthony Davis is out, people are I think Lakers fans are actually starting to freak out about this corgi.
So, you're telling me that the it's still rigged? It's just so what I was going back to the writer's strike, like you said earlier. Yeah. I thought it was no longer rigged because the writers are striking. So Adam Silver finally was like, damn, I think we just have to let him play basketball and see who's going to win. And then maybe someone stepped in and said, not so fast. We don't need writers. We can just use this corgi. Correct. Have this corgi tell us. Have this corgi scripted out. Interesting.
My concept on it is that there's all these different animals that predict games. Like every college football national championship, you see like an octopus like eating like a watermelon, or Larry the goldfish for part of my take. I think there's just like a wheel that the sports leagues just conglomerate, like the Dark Lords that oversee sports. They spin the wheel and it lands on one animal for the day, and they're like, nope. It's his day, and he's correct.
I have Moses, my golden retriever, fill out a bracket every year. This year he had Kansas State in the Final Four, which I thought was about to happen. I forget who else. He had Creighton. He had Creighton and Kansas State in the Final Four, and they were both like right there.
It's pretty good.
I thought we were onto something with Mose. But yeah, you're right. That's content that always plays. I mean, that is like animals picking sports. That should just be an account in and of itself. It's just animals picking sports in general. That might give me that is the best chance you've ever had at getting me to sign up for TikTok, TJ. Good send. That was the first. That was the first TikTok I've ever been sent that I've actually been interested in. So good job, TJ.
And he definitely is always right when he predicts every single sports series. He's definitely always been 100% right.
100%.
This definitely isn't the first 7-game series. He's had 5 games right in a row.
I remember the early days of Twitter. Guys would like no-name accounts would pop up, and dudes would just make every possible prediction, like especially with the NBA playoffs. They just fire off every single prediction and then delete all the wrong ones and retweet the one that got right. Yeah. And people would fall for it. I would fall for it. I would. Like, people were like, "Holy shit! How this guy? He called
time
everything."
Traveler, obviously.
Yeah. Simpler times. Quick break to talk about the Barstool Sportsbook, the best app, the best sportsbook. One thing I love about the Barstool Sportsbook. I love building parlays that make. I love doing the across sports parlays where you just like bet on overs in a baseball game and then bet on like the spread in an NBA game, and then you just build your own. And then you dabble in some hockey. I want one thing. My perfect parlay is one thing that it's a 3-legger. It's one thing that I feel pretty confident about, and I feel like I have some knowledge on. And I'm like, I to borrow Stephen Shea's phrases, like I got my little datas, or I'm trusting the data on. I have one that I have no idea what the hell it even is. I don't even know anything about the sport, or I don't know anything about the teams playing. I'm just clicking on something, and then one that's in the middle where it's like I'm just going off of vibes. I like building those 3, and it's so easy on the Barstool Sportsbook. They make it so freaking easy. You just click on your picks. It builds the parlay for you. You type in how much you want to spend, how much you're gonna win. It's the Barstool Sportsbook is now offering a $1,000 bonus for new players. If your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So download and create an account today. Use code Titus to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Be sure to use code Titus to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Terms apply. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. What else? I kind of want to get to the fraud power rankings, but I will say this. Knicks fans, don't take this the wrong way. I am cheering for the Knicks. I think the Knicks, it would be a great story if the Knicks can. I'm cheering for the Knicks long term. I do think like the Knicks being good is great for basketball, not just NBA, dude. It's great for all basketball. If you're a fan of any basketball, turning on a Knicks home game and seeing the Garden rocking in a playoff game is awesome. It's exactly what the sport needs. I say all that to say, I can't get there, TJ. I can't get myself to care about the Heat Knicks series. I can't. Game 7 I will care about. And I think it's because I know, and Knicks fans know, and everyone else knows, deep down the Knicks have zero shot of actually winning the title. And I think every single team left does have a puncher's chance at the very least. Like even the Heat, I think, have a puncher's chance. I don't expect the Heat to actually compete for the NBA title, but they could, like if they could. They obviously could. They have the DNA. They have Jimmy Butler. Like they could. There's a path I think the Heat have that the Knicks don't. Even if the Knicks beat the Heat, I don't think the Knicks are going to beat the Celtics or the Sixers. Even if they beat the Celtics or Sixers, I don't think they're going to beat the TL. So I think I know this in the back of my mind. So as I'm watching the series, I'm just thinking, just let the Heat, just put us out of our misery.
Finish him.
Advance, just finish the. Having said all that, like it is cool that the Knicks have won 2 games in an Eastern semis, and like this matters. And for this fan base to care that much, on the one hand, it does feel a little pathetic. I think from other fan base's point of view that you're celebrating, winning Game 5 of an Eastern semis, or the Knicks fans celebrate every single playoff win. But for them to go this hard, it might come across as a little pathetic. I see it the completely opposite way. I think if every fan base reacted this way, like I would be a diehard NBA fan. This is what college fan bases do: is that they go fucking bananas over you win one NCAA tournament game and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe we're going on to the next round. I can't believe we survived. So I have no problem with that. I'm just being honest. This is the trust tree, and as I sit here, I watched every single second of the game tonight, and I was like, I don't think I care. I just don't. I don't know, and I don't know how to get myself to care. Respect to Jalen Brunson, balled out. The Knicks fans were awesome. The Knicks very easily could have thrown in the towel, especially that first quarter was not going well at all. And as the Heat were storming back, and Duncan Robinson was suspiciously open over and over and over again down the stretch. It felt like the Knicks could pack it in and say, you know what, we're not going to win the title, so why not just get bounced here? They did not do that. That's respect. They could win in Miami. They could win the series. I'm not saying they're done now. I'm just saying they are very clearly the one team left in these NBA playoffs that is not going to win the NBA championship. And knowing that just leaves me thinking, like, let's just get this over with. So anyway, what else?
I am interested to see if like the Side Talk guys do a video tonight, because it is like, it's one thing to do one of those fan videos outside when you win to go up in a series or even to tie a series, but like, I don't know if the we stayed alive celebration video is exactly as exciting as anything else.
I think if they win Game 6, you get real hype because on the one hand, it's like we won a playoff game. You're celebrating the win in Miami, which would be a win that I don't think any Knicks fan would have saw coming, a few days ago, certainly when you're down 3-1 and, oh my God, we just won in Miami in game 6. But then you're also looking forward and you're like, let's celebrate the win while also getting hype for game 7, and our building is going to be. So I could see that being a big time party because it's just, it's a tone setter. You got to get ready for game 7, which would be, I'm cheering for that, by the way, Knicks fans. If you take this the wrong way, I am cheering for the Knicks to win game 6, certainly. I want to see game 7 in the Garden just like everybody else. I just can't get myself to, I don't know. It's a me problem, but it's also probably not a me problem because I imagine a lot of basketball people are the same way. That series just doesn't have the juice I thought it would. Sixers Celtics, I want to laugh, TJ. I want to, I'm really, really scared that I don't think Sixers fans are necessarily doing this, but the Celtics haters are prematurely celebrating this. I think, we've been here before with the Celtics. Literally last year, the Celtics in this round were down 3-2 to the Bucks. They go to Milwaukee in Game 6. They win Game 6 in Milwaukee. They come back home in Game 7. They win Game 7. They march on to the NBA Finals. They ultimately did not win the title, but this is a position I've seen these Celtics in many, many times, and I'm certainly not going to get ahead of myself and say it's over, or that Tatum and Brad. I'm just being very, very cautious about all that. So I don't want to. I will say that it was a shocking result. Like I thought the Celtics would definitely win Game 5, and not only for them to lose, but to lose in the manner they did, where they had no juice whatsoever. The fans are booing them. We talked about last game. It felt like Horford had just completely broken Embiid by the end of the game, where that's why PJ Tucker had to step in and like snap Embiid out of it. So I was a little worried, is that going to play into it? Does Horford have Embiid's number now? And then you look up in Game 5 and Al Horford goes 0 for 7 and sucked ass the whole game. And Joel Embiid looks like the MVP for the first time in this series. I know he's been hurt, and he's his knee's getting a little better as time goes on. That's probably the biggest factor more than anything else. But Doc Rivers knows this too. I mean, he's every quote I've seen from him is like, "We have not won anything. It is not over. It is not even close to over. This team will not die. So let's not pretend like they will." But that was pretty crazy. So I don't really want to get into it too much because the takeaways from Game 5 would be an overreaction because the Celtics were so pathetic that it would. You start going down that road, you start talking about blowing up the team and do they need to trade Jaylen Brown and do they need to, and we could look up, by the time you and I do a show next, the Celtics could have won the series and are now on to the Eastern Conference Finals where they'll have home court advantage and they're once again the favorites to win the title. So that's the tricky thing about series, If this was the NCAA tournament, we would make this the focal point of the show. It's not, and the Celtics are not dead yet, and the Warriors are not dead yet, and the Warriors-Celtics rematch could very well happen. I don't know. We'll see. But shout out to PJ Tucker, dude. He might be the best. He's averaging 3.9 points per game in these playoffs.
But he's playing like 30 minutes, is he not?
Yeah, and he's like he's not actually the MVP, obviously, but it feels like he's the MVP, But this is
it's the value versus skill argument we get into.
Exactly. But I don't think it's a coincidence that this man wins everywhere he goes. I don't think it's coincidence that he's on the Heat last year and they take Boston to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he's on the Bucks in 2021 and they win the title. And he was on those Rockets teams that when KD joined the Warriors, people forget the Rockets almost beat the Warriors. They had Game 7 at home and missed 27 straight threes in a row.
Yeah.
That would have been a crazy upset. The Rockets could have very easily won the title, but I don't think it's a coincidence that PJ Tucker keeps popping up on these teams late in his career, and it's not to say that he's the reason that they're so good, but there might be something to locker room guys. TJ is a theory that I'm working on. You know how like every coach and player says that locker room guys are important, and then the nerds in the media are like, "Are we sure?" But look at his PER.
Right.
I think maybe the coaches and players might be right. I think maybe
you can't measure heart.
I think maybe that speech. I think PJ Tucker telling what was the quote that he said? I saw the post game quote where he was talking about that speech he gave Embiid, and he basically just said we can't have that over to. Here, let me try to find it because it was so funny when I was reading it in some article. Yeah, here it was. Nobody can guard Joel one-on-one, Tucker said. There's no way. I'm sorry. There's not a disrespect to Al or anyone else, but I've guarded him for a lot of years. And when he's aggressive and assertive, it's impossible. I saw him 2 or 3 plays in a row not do that, and we can't have that. We can't have that. Not with the season on the line. We can't have that. He said we can't have that 3 times. It's just so funny.
Just put that quote next to Julius Randle's quote if you want like a summation of this Eastern Conference playoffs.
It's such like a fatherly way to handle it. It's like I'm not even mad at you. I'm just disappointed. Like we simply cannot. Like in my house, we don't behave that way. So.
No advice. Just basically said stop that, man. Come on,
stop that. My last straight thought, and then we'll take a break and do some fraud power rankings. My last straight thought on the playoffs: Nuggets, Sun series. Shout out Jock Landale, dude. That guy comes in, and DeAndre Ayton has positioned himself as the scapegoat of the Suns because he's a number 1 pick, and he is very inconsistent, very passive. If you're a big man who's not just an absolute killer, you're just asking for people to make you the scapegoat. I think DeAndre Ayton is better than his haters think he is, but I also acknowledge that DeAndre Ayton does himself 0 favors whatsoever in winning over his detractors. He has all the physical tools in the world, and does not always use them. And I mentioned that to say that I've gotten to a point as a guy who's very much cheering for the Nuggets, not just in this series, but in the entire playoffs. And I want the Nuggets to win the championship. As every time I watch these Nuggets Suns games, when Jock Landale comes in the game, I'm more worried for the Nuggets than when DeAndre Ayton is in the game. Definitively, that has nothing to do with like trying to pile on DeAndre Ayton or get involved in that conversation of like, did the Suns make a mistake in signing him and bringing him back and all that sort of thing. Literally, like, I think that the Nuggets are better when DeAndre Ayton is on the floor than when Jock Landale is on the floor. And I don't want to make this an Ayton thing. I would rather make it a shout out to Jock Landale because that dude is a menace when he comes in and just he looks like junior and senior year Mark Titus out there with how gritty he is and just how much hustle he's got out there. He really does, dude. He's like so perfect at his role. Yeah. And he's been playing great, and there will never be a scenario unless I wrote it down because I probably would never talk about it otherwise. I just wanted to give him a shout out before I forgot. So shout out Jock Landale. I have no idea what's going to happen in this series because Devin Booker's going back home and he's probably going to not miss again and force a Game 7. But I think the Nuggets take care of the Suns if it goes 7. And I think the Nuggets. I think what you and I have talked about that the Nuggets are just sitting there waiting for the winner of the Warriors-Lakers series, and everyone thinks whoever wins Warriors-Lakers is going to move on. I think the Nuggets are going to say not so fast. So, anyway.
There's a bear in the woods for the winner of the Warriors and Lakers, and his name is Nikola.
Other roles in that series, by the way. Aaron Gordon. I freaking love watching Aaron Gordon for the Nuggets. Shout out to him. Those are my 2 shout-outs in the Nuggets Sun series. Jock Landale and Aaron Gordon. That's why I'm tuning in. Everyone else wants to watch Jokic and Durant or Jokic and Murray versus Durant and Booker. Not me. I want to watch Jock Landale and Aaron Gordon.
You know ball.
I'm a true. That's because I see the game at a different level than everyone else, TJ. All right, let's take a break, come back, and do some fraud power rankings. Tired of being soft when you should be hard? 40% of men suffer from hormonal imbalances and low testosterone, and no one's willing to talk about it. The average male testosterone level has decreased by 26% over the past 3 decades. The situation is that you have a bunch of guys that are depressed. They don't have energy. They can't focus. They're gaining weight faster. Their libido is gone. Elevated by Astroflav is an all-natural testosterone booster containing 2 powerful ingredients, Fedosia agrestis and Tongkat Ali. This combination in Elevated has shown results of 250-point increase in total testosterone, but can be anywhere between 200 to 400-point increase. Increased testosterone levels means increases in energy, improvements in libido, reduction in stress levels, while building muscle and burning fat. Elevated by Astroflav has over 500,000 bottles sold to men with amazing results. Get a free 2-week trial of Elevated. Available at astroflav.com/barstool. Just pay shipping. All right, fraud power rankings time. First of all, I want to spoiler alert here. Boston is not going to make an appearance. I know a lot of listeners probably think these fraud power rankings are going to be very Boston heavy given what we saw in Game 5 in Boston. But first of all, I think the Celtics players, if in fact this is what is going to ultimately be the narrative of this series, and by that I mean if in fact the Sixers go on to beat the Celtics in Game 6 on Thursday, and this is it, and the Celtics will probably, I don't know if they'll blow it up, but like there's got to be some drastic change within how they're approaching this, because this core is obviously not going to be able to get over the hump. I think it's premature to say that. I think we have to wait until they're dead, until it's actually officially over. I'm not going to put dirt on their grave at all. But if people want to jump ahead, at least the Game 5 part of this, I don't want to go after the Celtics players, because in my mind, Game 5 is just, in the words of the late Dennis Green, the Celtics are who we thought they were. I mean, this team is very clearly just permanently broken mentally. Jason Tatum has negative charisma somehow. Jaylen Brown is just not that guy. Like this is just who they are. Like this is not a surprise to me whatsoever. So I say that knowing full well that the Celtics very well may win this series. They might still win the NBA championship, all that sort of thing. But they have no dog. I don't know how else to say it. This is something we've seen over and over and over again with these guys. And so for that reason, I'm not going after the players, because it's just low-hanging fruit. Also low-hanging fruit is the Celtics fans. I was tempted to put the Celtics fans at number 1 on the fraud power rankings this week. But again, that's just like way too low-hanging of fruit. I honestly, I don't think the Celtics fans are frauds. I don't even want to attack them. I just genuinely pity the Celtics fans at this point, that you're booing your own team. They're booing their team, TJ. Think about this. Think about all these things that were going on. You're booing your team that went to the finals last year, have been to 4 of the last 6 conference finals. They're playing a team that has the MVP of the league and has a guy who is a former MVP, who's not the current MVP. The 2 MVPs on the other team. You have a first-year head coach. And on top of it all, your team's not even being eliminated yet. Like, I don't understand if this was, if the Celtics were down 3, the Celtics had already lost 3 games, and now this was like Game 6 at home, and now the season is over, and now you're booing your guys as the clock is running out on the season, whatever. The season's not even over yet. It was just a shameful performance, I felt, from the Celtics fans to do that. And I don't know. I for that reason, I didn't want to put them on the fraud power rankings, because I genuinely pity them. I think like the entitlement would be hilarious to me if it wasn't so pathetic that this franchise has won 1 championship since 1986. To give you context, in case anyone didn't realize this, the Lakers have won 8 since then. The Bulls have won 6 since then. The Spurs have won 5 since then. The Warriors have won 4. The Detroit Pistons have won 3 titles since 1986. The Boston Celtics have won 1. The Miami Heat have won 3. The Houston Rockets have won 2. The Bucks and the Raptors, the Cavs, the Mavs, they have all won 1. You've won 1 title since 1986, and you act like a core group of guys that go to the Eastern Conference Finals seemingly every single year. Losing a game at home is the end of the world. It was shameful. It was shameful stuff. It was shameful stuff, TJ. So I just wanted to get out ahead of that. I don't want to attack the Celtics fans at all, and I just wanted to make sure I said all that, so that way I just want to make a conscious effort to not attack them.
Yep.
So I'm not going to put them on the fraud power rankings this week. So
I'm sure they all appreciate that.
Credit to me for being a bigger man.
Yeah.
You're booing. I'm not a. I mean, I guess it's an East Coast thing, but like I don't.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I
think Yankees fans have booed the team this year, but it's not the playoffs. Like we're having a bad season so far, so I think that there's more room for, and we've had bad performances in the past. I don't really understand booing your own team.
Does booing work? I don't think booing works only if it's like you've reached like paper sack on the head status, and you're like, please fire everybody and blow this whole team up. When it's like, we have a really good team that has been really, really good but just hasn't won the championship, so let's boo them because they're not going to win the championship again.
Right. I don't.
You've won 1 championship since 1986. You act like this is something you expect to do every single year. It's insanity. It's like It's not even. I mean, like that's what's so funny to me. This is why I hate Celtics fans. I don't at this point in my life, I'm not even sure I really have an NBA team. I just like watching basketball, and I still hate the Celtics as though I'm a Lakers or a Sixers fan, because the entitlement is just insane. It is insane. There's no other franchise that comes anywhere close to this than the Celtics fans. And then on top of it, they own like half of the fucking NBA media is Celtics fans that pretend like they're not Celtics fans. That then try to report in like an unbiased way, but then you like go click on any of these NBA media members' bios and you read like their upbringing and they're born somewhere in Massachusetts, and then like they get in front of cameras and they're like, I'm unbiased, I'm just a national reporter. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a Celtics fan. Everyone's a Celtics fan. Everyone talks about the Celtics at all times. The people won't shut the fuck up about the Celtics. Every award that exists in the NBA is named after a Celtics player. You got like the literally every fucking award is somehow named after Red Auerbach or Larry Bird or Bill Russell or on down the line. The Kevin McHale Post Move Man of the Year award. It's like, how many awards do we need named after Celtics players? How many Celtics players do we need? Marcus Smart winning Defensive Player of the Year is absurd. This just goes on and on and on, TJ. And all of it's fine. Love your team. But then when you start booing your team, that's when you lose me, because like if it's coming from a place of like we just want to gas our guys up, it can be annoying at times, but I understand it. But now you're booing your guys when the season's not even over, when they're gonna go win in Philly and then come back home and win in games. If I was like Tatum and Brown and they win Game 7 at home, if they win Game 6 and then come back in Game 7 and win Game 7, and the fans are cheering me, I would flip all of them off, and I would go into the press conference and I'd be like, I want to see none of you at the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't want to see a goddamn person in this arena. None. We want to play in front of an empty arena. Screw all of you. That's what I would do. But you know,
that would be incredible.
No, I would.
Turn heel on your own fans.
Yeah. I mean, they turned heel on this. It's insane.
Yeah.
It'd be like, again, it'd be one thing if this core, and I get it, they have not won a title, but what one core since 1986 has won a title for the Celtics. It'd be one thing if these guys were losing in the first round every single year, and the second round and they can't ever. They were in the finals last year. You were in the NBA finals last year. You were in the NBA finals last year. You were in the NBA finals. It's insane. It's insane. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I'm not going to go in on the Celtics.
Right. Don't.
I'm gonna make sure I don't do that, because if I do, I'll get carried away. What I will do is go through the fraud power rankings now. And at number 5 this week is the concept of career suicide. This idea that you can commit an act. You could perhaps let a slur slip on a live feed, which I was led to believe as of a few days ago that'll get you fired. That'll be the end of your job. Not the case, as we learned with Bob Huggins, who as predicted on the show, was not fired by West Virginia, was suspended 3 games. He had a salary reduction of $1 million annually, which actually, as much as I want to say this is a slap on the wrist, because I think when this happened, a lot of people said he deserves to be fired. I thought he should resign, but I also knew there was 0% chance he was going to actually resign. It was just like my pie in the sky fantasy of what college sports should be. It wasn't actually going to happen. So the fact that he still has his job, I think people say that there might be an instinct to say this was a slap on the wrist. $1 million a year is a lot of money. And I know the guy has a ton of money, but I just wanted to say that. I don't think from the West Virginia side of things, yes, I would have liked to seen. I think it would have been best for all parties if Bob Huggins would not continue to coach West Virginia basketball. But since they decided they're not going to do that, I think $1 million a year is actually pretty freaking severe. But anyway, he also has sensitivity training, which is something I predicted as well. I need to see a reality show of the sensitivity training. We need cameras in there. I need to see the poor sap that has to do sensitivity training with Bob Huggins. Tell him which words are okay now in 2023 and which words aren't. I need cameras on Bob Huggins' reactions when when he finds out he's not allowed to, like, other words he's quote unquote not allowed to say, and he's just like, well, I can't say anything. It's just, the whole thing is absurd. The whole thing of Bob Huggins, like Bob Huggins is gonna come out a reform man. Like, he's gonna put out a statement that he's like, you know what, I now understand the plight of oppressed people in this country, and I'm gonna do one thing I should have been doing all this time. I'm going to choose to listen, and he puts. That's like Bob Huggins is actually going to do that.
They should film the sensitivity training sessions and sell them on DVD and then donate the proceeds to the LGBTQ center on campus. That's how you solve this issue.
I need a picture. Remember the Nancy Pelosi picture?
Yes, I know. I already know which one you're talking about. I think with like the shawl on.
Yeah, Wakanda forever.
Yes, yeah.
I need a Bob Huggins.
Racism is over now.
I need a Bob Huggins like draped in like a LGBT flag, like the rainbow flag, and he's like.
I think PFT said that on part of my take today. He should have just kissed a guy, and then what would have they had said?
But yeah, the reason I didn't think they would fire him is because yes, in 2023 we do live in a time where a lot of people piss and moan about cancel culture and how you can't say anything anymore and everybody's out to get you and all that. Whether that's true or not, I'm not interested in having that discussion. What I am interested in pointing out is that it certainly is not true for college coaches whatsoever. It is absolutely impossible to cancel college coaches. It cannot be done in 2023. There is no scandal. There's no such thing as a scandal really anymore. I mean, Will Wade, Rick Pitino, and Sean Miller, like, remember when the FBI stuff all happened? We thought all three of those guys, not only do we think that they weren't ever, like, I was 100% certain none of those guys would ever coach another game of basketball again, much less, like, at the levels. Like, now Will Wade's at McNeese State. He's taking a step down, but give it time. Like, Will Wade's going to go back in the SEC. He's going to be coaching he's going to be at, like, South Carolina or something in 6 years. But Rick Pitino's now back in the Big East. Sean Miller's back in the Big East. I'm not saying what should or should not have happened. I'm just saying I remember the moment in time when that happened. I was like, these guys will never coach another game of basketball. And on top of that, there's like a 50-50 chance they might go to prison for a significant amount of time. That was the vibe of the scandal, right? Chris Beard gets a job immediately. Juwan Howard struck a man. I will continue to be just befuddled by this, TJ. Juwan Howard struck a man on live television and was coaching basketball games for the University of Michigan 15 days later. This happened. I saw it with my own two eyes. The Bob Huggins just shows what I already knew, which is that it's impossible for coaches to be canceled if you win enough. The only way you can get canceled as a coach of football or basketball is if you don't win enough. But if you win, you're fine. You'll always be fine. And it leaves me wondering, TJ, would Joe Pa be coaching football if he was 20 years younger and not dead? Would somebody have hired Joe Pa? After all that, like, if we would have looked up, if Joe Pa was like right now 64 years old, there's some team. I'm not saying like, Florida is gonna call Joe Pa, but there's some team out there that's like, UConn,
right?
Like some like shitty tier college football programs, like, yeah, what the hell? Let's take a big swing
like a FIU or something.
FIU,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, probably. Like, how Hugh Freeze is a head coach. He's in the SEC, so
it's impossible. Career suicide is impossible.
You can't punish the kids, dude. You can't punish the players for the coach's mistake.
That's what it is.
You have to let him keep being the coach.
Will somebody please think of the players?
Yes.
If we. So congratulations to Bob Huggins on. $1 million is a lot of money. I don't mean to downplay it. Like, that is, I don't know what else, like, because that's the thing. It's easy to be a smartass and roll your eyes and be like, this is a slap on the wrist. But it's also like, I don't know what else. If you're choosing to keep him, I don't know what else. I mean, you're not going to suspend him for a year, because at that point you might as well have just fired him. As dumb as it is, like, hitting him in the pocketbook, that's where it hurts the most. You're basically fining him $1 million a year. Like, that's I don't mean to say that this is like my preferred outcome, but like, also at the same time, I would not want to be fined $1 million a year. That's like half my salary, TJ. Right. That would be brutal for me. I'd be out on the streets. Same. Take $1 million, take half my salary from me. At number 4 on the fraud power rankings, the Krzyzewski family. Mike Krzyzewski, the artist formerly known as Coach K, he is now Mr. K because, as we know, he got a puppy that he named Coach. So now that he is no longer the coach in the family is actually a puppy, TJ. So let's get that straight. Mr. K retired from Duke, with one goal in mind, and that was to spend time with his family. That was to finally enjoy his loved ones around him, to play with Coach K, his puppy, his brand new puppy that he got, to finally just be a regular guy. And he wasn't going to Duke basketball games, and he was doing God knows what, but at the same time, he was suspiciously, like, very prominently featured in a lot of media, including Aflac commercials with Dawn Staley and the Duck and everything else. But he was just a normal guy, and he's just hanging out with his loved ones, him and Mickey and the gang, and then they're having a great time. I look up this morning and I see that Mr. K has now been hired by the NBA to do a job that is, quote, a special advisor to the basketball operations is his title. That is the new title, special advisor to basketball operations. What does that mean? Who the hell knows? But now Mr. K, who wanted to retire and spend time with his family, he did the Tom Brady. He got like one little taste of the family and was like, get me the hell out of here. Give me a job. I need it now. Called up Adam Silver, who was a Duke guy, by the way. People forget that Adam Silver is a Duke guy. Duke is an enemy of college basketball. That's why I say Adam Silver is an enemy of college basketball. He is hiring Mr. K to he's the only person in basketball that was like, I witnessed the end of Mr. K's career. I still want this man involved in my organization. Let's bring him in. It all makes sense, but like somehow I'm the crazy one for pointing out that Adam Silver is an enemy of basketball, and I get called crazy when I point this out. But as we know, a sane man in an insane world appears insane. But yeah, I want to know what the hell happened with the Krzyzewski family that this man hates them so much that he wanted to get right back to work after retiring for what felt like 6 months. He was retired for 6 months. It was crazy.
I mean, jobs like this don't come around often, Mark. This is the special advisor to NBA basketball operations.
What the hell is this?
This is one of the jobs of all time we're talking about.
How do I get this job? When can I become the special advisor to... What the hell does that even mean? Just like, I get it. It's not an actual job. They're just giving him a title. But still, like, But why are they even giving him a title? Like, isn't there a way for Coach K... I'm sorry, Mr. K. I'm not talking about the dog.
Right.
And maybe Coach K. I don't know. Isn't there a way for the dog to be involved with the NBA? But do we have to give him a title? Do you have to get him on the books? Because they're probably giving him a lucrative salary, you know, and it's just...
The dog is a good boy to the special advisor to NBA basketball operation.
So what? Now every time I watch an NBA game, some of that ad revenue money is going into Mr. K's pocket. Is that what I'm led to believe? That he's getting a cut of that now?
Yep.
Because I'm not okay with that. So where does it end?
Too bad.
This is ridiculous.
The NBA PR tweet about this news scared a lot of people. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, they made it sound like he died?
Well, it's NBA PR. They put out like a 2-page statement about it, and it just started with Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer Mike Krzyzewski, the all-time wins leader in NCAA Division I men's basketball and 6-time gold medalist as a head coach of the U.S. men's basketball seat. Like it did like a whole long. A lot of people in the replies were like, the first sentence of this has to be different. You got to lead with new hire alert or like a graphic or something. I think a lot of people thought they were about to read that he had died.
Once you hit 70, I would say 70 is the age. Once a guy hits 70, every story about him, the first 2 words should be "not dead," and then you can tell the story.
Right.
It's just like, what's the? I didn't go to journalism school where you do like you do the city you're in, right? Like that's what Peter
like the byline.
When Robin Williams died, he said Milwaukee, comma.
Oh yeah,
like that whole thing. Part of that should be like New York, comma, New York. And then like a big dash, not dead, big dash. Mike Krzyzewski,
yeah.
Like we got to get that in the very immediate thing as part of the, the byline, I guess it would be called, right? I don't know. I didn't go to journalism school. But yeah, shout out to the Krzyzewski family for running this man right back into the workforce. At number 3 on the fraud power rankings, Condoleezza Rice. Speaking of Duke guys in the NBA, TJ, and the outsized influence that Duke has in the NBA, another story that made me fall out of my chair that I saw today. JJ Redick had apparently interviewed for the Toronto Raptors head coaching vacancy. And the reason I'm calling out Condoleezza Rice is because I can only assume that Condoleezza Rice's name not being floated as well means she no longer has the juice. That every time there's a job opening in sports, I expect to hear Condoleezza Rice's name. I say that half tongue in cheek because Obviously, the Cleveland Browns, when Schefter tweeted that the Cleveland Browns were interviewing her, that was preposterous. But also at the same time, Condoleezza Rice is somehow on every single committee ever in sports, especially college sports. She somehow like owns the Denver Broncos, I think. And did she start at quarterback for a game last year? Or am I misremembering that? I think
she's.
She did,
I know
right?
that she's on like the jersey of Browns quarterbacks. Like Rice is one of the names on.
I thought she started one game for the Broncos. She might have come in after the first series, late in the season. But yeah, she does. She's involved with the Broncos. So I don't get how this woman is involved with everything, and somehow her name has not come up for the Toronto Raptors job, and yet JJ Redick's name has. JJ Redick must be stopped, dude. I hate that. Like I have somehow. I don't want to be a JJ Redick hater, but like I think I just fall into this role time and time again, TJ, because someone has to call it out. I mean, someone has to, like, I can't just sit back and let this man keep getting away with this, interviewing for jobs. He called out last year when he called out Bob Cousy for playing against plumbers and firemen was like, it was a breaking point for me. Like I was going a little bit crazy. The man carries water for current levels at an absolute, or current players at an absolutely absurd level that the likes of which are frankly unprecedented, and he doesn't really seem to fully understand that at some point in time he's going to be an older player, and he's, you know, like the reason that like Chuck and Shaq and Kenny might shit on like this generation is because like they were looking out for their generation, and like eventually you're going to become like the thing that you think you're smarter than all the older guys. You're going to become one of the older guys. Somehow he keeps getting away with this. But the reason I went absolutely crazy, beyond like JJ Redick being up for the Raptors job, which felt very much like Doug Gottlieb being up for the Oklahoma State job every single time it's open. And it's like, how does this keep happening? How do these guys keep floating their names for coaching jobs? Meanwhile, I'm desperate to get one interview. I just want one callback. I've been trying to get one fucking callback for a head coaching job.
I was
for
gonna say
years
somebody sounds jealous.
For years, I don't even want the job. I just want one callback. I just want one call. I want one callback. That was it. Chicago State, I wanted you to just call me back. We could have hashed it out on the phone, realized I'm not the guy for the job, and we could have moved on. But that's all I want. I just want you to acknowledge me. But what's super crazy about JJ Redick and the Raptors is that people forget this man once did a podcast with Kyrie Irving where he said that dinosaurs don't even exist. And now he's going to coach a team, the one team that's dinosaurs. This man, like,
shit, yeah.
I'm woke to this, TJ. I think so. Here was this quote from the podcast he did with Kyrie Irving. He said, "I'm not entirely." This is 2018. This is 5 years ago. He said, "I'm not entirely convinced dinosaurs existed. I'm not. I've come across some weird websites in my Google searches. For instance, the word dinosaur. I've come across some weird webs. Who said this? JJ Redick or Billy Football? I've come across some weird websites in my Google searches." For instance, the word dinosaur, it didn't exist until 1842. There was no word for dinosaur. And then all of a sudden, in the next 15 to 20 years, after a British scientist comes up with this word dinosaur and describes it in a medical journal, people started finding fossils. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, humans, we've been here since 10,000 BC. Shout out to JJ for at least, well, on one hand, not acknowledging dinosaurs, at least acknowledging that humans have been around since 10,000 BC. Because he very easily could have like slipped in. Humans have been here since 1843. We've been, back to the quote, we've been roaming the earth. We've had multiple empires all over the world. And all that time, we didn't find any fossils until 150 years ago. It makes you think. This is what he said to Kyrie Irving. And now he's supposed to coach the dinosaurs of the NBA. But I realized, TJ, I don't think he actually wants the job. I think this man does not believe dinosaurs existed, so he wanted to interview with the Raptors. He's going on a fact-finding mission. He just wants to go up to Toronto. He has been led to believe that the Raptors are literal raptors and that they have bones. He just wants to take a look at their data. He wants to take a look at their science. I think that I have to believe that that's what it is, because if the Raptors are actually about to hire JJ Redick, I mean, come on,
it is.
He could eventually be a good coach, but the man, he's done no coaching. He just does, all he does is, you're right, I'm jealous. He's a podcast. He's going from podcaster to coach in the snap of a finger. I don't know. I go crazy about Redick because like he does the he's JJ Reddit. Like, he makes content for Reddit. He makes content for our NBA. Like, he browses our NBA and he figures out like what the best story, like what takes are gonna pop off on there, and like what he makes shit for them, which is fine. You know, like he has an audience to serve, and I don't you know, like that's certainly a good way to blow up your brand and all that sort of thing. I have no problem with that. The problem I have is then he turns around and looks at the other people that make content for the 14-year-olds on Reddit and just has this like, just like the most pretentious, like every time he talks to someone else who makes content for the 14-year-olds, he just like pinches the top of his nose and starts every sentence with, "You idiot, you fucking idiot. How many times do I have to explain to you that is not how basketball works?" And I don't understand how he gets away with living in both worlds, TJ. I don't understand how you can, like, on the one hand, talk about giving guys their flower, and it's always like he does like basic bitch shit where he's like, "It's time to give Luka Doncic his flowers," and it's like, who's not giving Luka Doncic his flowers? But again, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with then him turning around and like, you know, going on First Take and like, "Stephen A, you stupid slut, you know nothing about this sport," you know, and like, I'm like, dude, you do it's. I don't know. It's like he doesn't fully understand the media world we're living in. I don't know.
I want him. I need to see him
crazy.
go on the on Mean Girls pod with his dinosaur facts, because they brought that up a while ago. And
that's right. They did.
They think dinosaurs are methodical, so I'm sure he has some opinions about that.
I genuinely, I'm dropping all the shtick. I genuinely, I do not hate JJ Redick. I think I listen to his show sometimes. I'm friends with Tommy Alter, his co-host, and I love Tommy. And I like JJ. I think he's good. I think he's a value add to NBA and basketball and media and all that sort of thing. It's just I just want someone else to call him out so I don't have to do it. That's the problem, TJ. It's like I sit here and I like observe and I'm like, all right, so as long as someone's and Richard Jefferson, I guess, is the guy to do it. Richard Jefferson will do it every so often. I just want someone to bust his balls because he's getting away with way too much. The fact that this man is now interviewing for head coaching jobs, he just needs to be knocked down a peg or two. That's all I ask. I just ask everybody in media. This is why I go crazy about like the scoopers of the world. It's like as the heads swell and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, somebody's got to come along and just like knock these guys off the pedestal a little bit, right? And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be I'm getting too old for this shit, man. I don't want to be a hater my whole life. But I also can't sit back and watch JJ Redick get coaching jobs when I can't even get a call back from Chicago State. Chicago State can't even call me back and he's interviewing for the Toronto Raptors. Unbelievable.
We need to evolve into a world where all of the NBA coaching vacancies are filled by basketball media personalities.
I know.
That would be the biggest way to make the NBA more entertaining.
He might actually get the job because, like, Joe Mazzulla coaching the Celtics makes 0 sense.
Right.
Darvin Ham coaching the Lakers makes 0 sense. I mean, none of these John Shire getting hired at Duke made no sense when that happened. I mean, it makes sense in a way. Like, John Shire at least was – all these guys were at least assistant coaches, though. Like, J.J. Redick stopped playing. He started a podcast. Now you're trying to hire him to be your head coach? That can't be real. Quick break to talk about our friends at Fitbod. If you're looking to take your workout to the next level, check out Fitbod. The Fitbod app creates a workout program that's personalized to your goals, fitness level, and available equipment. It learns from your previous workouts and adapts as you improve. It's the perfect companion to help you crush your fitness goals this summer, and summer is creeping up. You got to get those beach bodies ready. Start making progress toward your fitness goals today with 20% off a Fitbod subscription. Just pick a fitness goal, select your equipment, and Fitbod will create a custom workout program for you. Whether you've been missing gym time or hit a plateau, no worries. Fitbod will build a workout plan individualized to you. The app switches up your exercises to avoid overtraining or burnout while keeping your workouts fresh and fun. Your program also changes based on your personal progress for maximized results. Whether you work out in the weight room or in your living room, Fitbod has you covered. Learn the movements the right way with over 1,400 demonstration videos. A full year of Fitbod is less than the cost of a single session with a personal trainer. I'll say it again. A full year of Fitbod is less than the cost of a single session with a personal trainer. There's no better time to level up your fitness habit. Try Fitbod today. Get 25% off your subscription or try the app free at fitbod.me/Mark Titus. That's FITBOD.me/Mark Titus. Go do it now. 25% off Fitbod. Moving on. I just want one callback, TJ. That's really apologies to JJ. I want to get JJ Redick on the show. I don't think it's gonna work if I continue to. Go down that route. Go down that route. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. I just want one callback. Just one. Number 2 on the fraud power rankings this week, Noblesville, Indiana. The city of Noblesville, Indiana, which most of my listeners, I imagine, don't know much about it, but this is why Noblesville's on the fraud power rankings. So the Fort Wayne Mad Ants are the G League team of the Indiana Pacers, and today I saw the news that the Fort Wayne Mad Ants are moving from Fort Wayne, Indiana, to Noblesville, a suburb on the north side of Indianapolis, and they are rebranding. The Fort Wayne Mad Ants are no more. And you're saying to yourself, who cares? Who cares? This is a G League team of the Indiana Pacers. Who cares? This is why we care, TJ, because it's twofold for me. It's double personal. Number one, I care about the greater good of basketball. And with that, I would like to point out to everybody that the NBA, people don't forget this because people literally don't even know this. The NBA was kind of founded in Fort Wayne. A guy named Fred Zollner, who owned the Pistons, the Fort Wayne Pistons, then he eventually moved him to Detroit. He brought together the Basketball Association of America and the National Basketball League. They met literally at his house in Fort Wayne at his kitchen table. They hashed out a merger where they were like, why are we fighting each other? We should join together, become one league. That was when the NBA was born, is when he set them all down. He got these 2 rival gangs together. He made peace with them. When the dust settled, the NBA was born out of Fort Wayne. They have the 1953 All-Star Game in the Fort Wayne Coliseum. Fort Wayne, like, basically, I'm not saying it's like Boston is probably has more of a history with like the early days of the NBA, but Fort Wayne is up there. And I think that the city of Fort Wayne deserves a skosh, just a little taste, just some sort of like, and they had it. They had it with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. But lo and behold, these dipshits in Noblesville come along. And the reason I'm hot about Noblesville is because, I mean, look, I don't shy away from my Indiana high school roots. Like, anybody that's listened to me for a long time knows how much I hate those scumbags, those felons from Avon. I hate them with a passion. I always will. But Noblesville and Noblesville High School were also in our conference, and I have a hatred for all the Hamilton County schools that were in our conference, which is what Noblesville is, which is what this town was. I used to play against these bozos all the time growing up. And for them to be the people that come along and build this like new facility in Noblesville and say, we're going to pry the Fort Wayne Mad Ants from Fort Wayne and bring them down to Noblesville because we think that we're better than like the decades and decades of history that Fort Wayne has brought to the NBA. It's disgusting. And it's frankly like befitting of that town. If you know anything about Noblesville did produce Tom Coverdale. I will say that. One of my favorite basketball players of all time. But, that was then, man. And what that city's become, it is not good. And I just had to call this out because I'm very sad to see a storied franchise like the Fort Wayne Mad Ants that have been around since think about this. Do the math on this one. The Fort Wayne Mad Ants have existed, TJ, since 2007. That's a long time now. That's a long time.
That's like forever.
That's like forever, dude. That's a lot of history. And they're taking them away and moving them to Noblesville. And again, I may or may not be jealous and wish that they would have gone to Brownsburg. That would have been cool if they would have come to my town, but they didn't. And they went to the freaking high school rival town. I hate this.
This may be ignorant. What type of arena does a team like that play in? Like, is it?
So the Coliseum. Jokes aside, the Fort Wayne, the Allen County. I think it's the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum is what it's called. It was like built in 1952 for the Fort Wayne Pistons. They had the 53 All-Star game there, and it holds like 10,000 people. Or so. It's like it was a massive arena. I don't know where they're playing now.
Yeah, because they can't ever fill 10,000 seats.
Yeah, they're not building it. Yeah. But no, Noblesville stinks, dude. Noblesville, Carmel. Like I kind of hate all of Hamilton County. This is very niche. I understand for the listeners, but I just have to get this off my chest. I hate all of Hamilton County. But I respect Carmel because Carmel, at least, this is a rant for Trill Ballins. He's the one guy in the Barstool universe, and Vibs. Vibs would love. Yeah. Vibs is from Hamilton County, by the way. This is, but Carmel is so brazen about their God complex, where they literally when they started that town. I remember hearing one time that when Carmel was founded, it was literally called Bethlehem at first, and that makes so much sense because they actually think that like. Every single person born there is Jesus Christ. And in a weird way, I kind of respect that because they're just like so brazen about it and they're unapologetic. But the rest of those towns in Hamilton County, like Noblesville and your Fishers and your Westfield, they think they're Carmel. They're not. They don't have the cachet of Carmel, but they carry themselves with the pretentiousness of Carmel. Now all of a sudden I look up and it's like, you think you deserve a G League team, Noblesville? Win the Hoosier Crossroads Conference for me one time. You know? How about that? How about that? How about that?
I agree.
You know? Do it for me one time. Moving on. Last one. Number one on the fraud power rankings. An old familiar foe, a familiar face, I should say, on the fraud power rankings. Once again, TJ, modern medicine is number one on the fraud power rankings because this story today that Bo Jackson has had the hiccups since July melted my brain. I cannot make sense of, one, how this is real, two, why this came to light, three, why he said that he was here was his quote: "I've done everything: scare me, hang upside down, drink water, smell the ass of a porcupine. It doesn't work." Why was this man smelling the ass of a porcupine? This story has put my brain in a pretzel, and I need some help trying to understand this. How could this be? How could you have hiccups since July?
This is like a fear that I didn't know I had until I read this story. That's the most horrifying thing I could possibly think about. I start losing my mind if I have the hiccups for like 6 minutes. I had the hiccups at a Mets game last year, and they were maybe beer-induced hiccups, and I went to the bathroom and decided to get rid of them the only way I knew would had 100% success rate in the bathroom at a Mets game. Yes, I just threw up in the bathroom. I was having like a panic attack because I couldn't. I'm usually good at getting rid of hiccups, and this was like 30 hiccups in, and I had to execute final order.
Yours is throwing up. That was the only time I ever thought to attempt that. Like, that was the only time it ever got bad enough that I had to do that. Usually I just like hold my breath and swallow a bunch of times. But I'm going to have like a panic attack the next time I get hiccups, that this is just going to be a forever thing. I know. It's that everybody is.
Yeah.
Everybody that saw the stories. My move is belching. Like, I just start belching as loud. I suck air in and then just try to belch it out. And I just do that over and over. Very, very unpleasant for everybody around me as I'm dealing with that. But, you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get rid of the hiccups. So he was apparently on a radio show, and they asked him if he was going to, so they asked him if he was going to the Frank Thomas, or if he had gone to the Frank Thomas statue unveiling at Auburn, because Bo Jackson went to Auburn, played baseball at Auburn. Obviously, Frank Thomas did too. And Frank Thomas was getting a statue at Auburn, and he was asked, "Did you go?" And I guess like this was the moment where he was like, "I have to share with the world what I'm afflicted." Instead of just saying like, "No, I couldn't make it. I was personal reasons, whatever." He was like, "I couldn't make it." And to be honest with you guys, here's why. I was busy smelling the ass of a porcupine. I've never heard of that. Have you? Smelling the ass of a porcupine?
When you said it out loud, I realized it was probably not a literal thing that he had gone and done for the first time.
I don't know.
I read it and was like, that's a weird thing to attempt. But when you said it out loud, I was like, oh, that's got to be like
that's
a Southern
probably
saying.
Or he was just trying to That's
it was like in the headline of the article you sent me though, it was like Bo Jackson smells porcupine ass. I'm like, whoa, I need more information.
Hiccups do feel like a thing that would lead people to do that, to experiment with different stuff. So I agree with you that we could be getting duped, and Bo Jackson could have just been trying to come up with the most absurd thing. But also, I'm gonna believe it because it's funnier to believe it. I don't know if I've ever shared this publicly, but when I was pre-med at Ohio State for literally one quarter, and then I was like, what am I doing with my life? But I thought when I first got to college, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, which, you know, good luck. You know? To be young and dumb again. This sounded cool just because, I don't know. I thought that's what the chicks would like to hear as I walked around campus. And the exact opposite happened. They're like, fucking nerd. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to drop that. But my plan, this is even worse. I remember my plan when I had an idea of like wanting to go to medical school. What I wanted to do in the medical field was I wanted to be the doctor who found a cure for hiccups. I thought this was like, at 18 years old, I had like the biggest brain idea of all time was like, okay, so Jonas Salk polio. Got it. Mark Titus hiccups? Is that gonna be? Am I gonna be in the history books for this? Should I? So, I remember like being in my dorm for like I don't know 2 or 3. There was like a 2 or 3 week stretch where I was obsessed with hiccups, and I was like, I'm gonna. This is what I'm gonna do. This is my destiny. I'm gonna become a doctor, and I'm gonna cure hiccups. And long story short, I got on the basketball team. I dropped the whole pre-med dream because I was like, that's way too much time and effort to be playing basketball and try to be pre-med. And then Aaron Kraft comes along a few years later and is like, you were just lazy. I'm going to do both and be better at both than you were, but whatever. And I dropped the whole thing, and it makes me wonder, TJ, would Bo Jackson be dealing with this affliction had I not joined the basketball team at Ohio State? Maybe I would have gone on to medical school and solved hiccups, but how stupid is that? But it kind of
somebody should have done it by now. I don't understand what we're
right.
waiting for.
It kind of makes it's a stupid thing to hear like an 18-year-old say out loud, but also it's like, how have we not come up with that yet? Maybe Bo Jackson's the guy, like maybe this is what will get science to get their act together and figure this out,
Bo Jackson surgery will be like the Tommy John surgery, but for the hiccup kid. Because he said he's getting a medical procedure to fix it. What does that mean?
Or hiccups because it's the Lou Gehrig's disease. It's the Bo Jackson disease. Now you got
hiccups forever.
I'm suffering from Bo Jackson disease.
Yeah.
I just got hiccups forever. Yeah, dude, you're right. The next time I get hiccups, I'm going to have an actual panic attack. That
be like, here we
go.
go.
To last for a year. So, anyway, those are your fraud power rankings. Some shout outs before we get out of here. R.I.P. Denny Crum passed away Tuesday at 86 years old. The original Mr. March. People forget that was his nickname once upon a time. He California kid, went to UCLA, played for John Wooden, coached for Wooden too, and then leaves Wooden, leaves California, goes to Kentucky, goes to Louisville. Louisville wasn't like an absolute garbage program at the time. I think they'd been to one Final Four, but they certainly weren't the number one from a financial standpoint. I think Louisville is the number one money maker in college basketball. They're an absolute power in the world of college basketball, even when they win 4 games. And that is because of Denny Crum, because this California kid that goes to UCLA, John Wooden disciple, plays for him, coaches for him, recruited Bill Walton, I think, if memory serves. I think he was the guy who was the lead recruiter on Bill Walton, getting him to UCLA from San Diego. Takes a chance, moves all the way across the country to Louisville, Kentucky. Coaches that program. They immediately start going to the Final Four. I think they lost to UCLA, funny enough. They lose to Wooden, I think, the first 2 times he goes to the Final Four. Wooden retires. UCLA tries to hire him back, and he says no. He says no to UCLA a couple different times, stays at Louisville, builds him into a power, and is just turn Louisville basketball into what it is. And I don't know, this one, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm really plugged into Louisville bad. Like I got really into Louisville like around the Rick Pitino, start like mid 2000s, I would say, was when Louisville really popped off for me. So like Denny Crum was a guy I knew his name. I respected him as a coach and as a figure in college basketball, but he wasn't. I don't exactly have like a laundry list of Denny Crum memories or anything. But I will say that like it dawned on me that this was like the first time it really dawned on me that like why these guys that build the programs that are passing away now, and it seems to just be kind of it just sucks. Like this is the time we're in. Like basically the realization I had in the shower tonight was that college basketball became the behemoth it did in the 80s and 90s. And it did so because of television, because of Magic and Bird in '79, and then ESPN gets involved and with the Big East, and everything blows up in the 80s and 90s. And through that, like the guys who were having the most success at those programs, that were building those programs during that era, were the titans of the sport. Were the guys that, like you have your Adolph Rupps at Kentucky and your Fog Allens at Kansas, but by and large, like these programs that are, and your Woodens at UCLA, but by and large, like the biggest programs that exist in college basketball today probably had a coach around that time in the 70s, 80s, 90s that was just insane. That was a Hall of Fame caliber coach. And now, obviously, because of the way time works, a lot of those guys are now Like basically what I was having the realization where I was like, damn, we're about to lose like a lot of these legends, and not only are we losing a legend, they are a dying breed. Like there's not going to be, because it's not just that they won a ton of games, it's that no matter how, like Rick Pitino won a ton of games at Louisville. Rick Pitino won a national title that I'll still count, even though the NCAA won't. But Denny Crum built Louisville, and there will never be another Denny Crum at Louisville to build Louisville, and there will never be, another Jim Boeheim at Syracuse to build Syracuse. There will never be another Jim Calhoun at UConn, even though Dan Hurley won and Kevin Ollie won. Like Jim Calhoun is the guy that built that program, and all these guys that built the programs, not all of them. I don't mean to put some of these guys in an early grave. Apologies if anyone interpreted it that way, but it just sucks. Like that's how time works, and that's where we're at, and that's kind of one of the realizations I had with Denny Crum is like, this is not going to stop happening anytime soon, and we're going to keep hearing about these coaches that are legends at their schools. And yeah, so anyway, R.I.P. Denny Crum. What else? You have any shout-outs?
Just the Steph Curry stat that they put out, and then he immediately not in the same way refuted it, but that he's 0 for 12 in his playoff career, basically on buzzer beater attempts.
Yeah.
And then in the game tonight, he hit a first half buzzer beater. I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh yeah. Well,
that is a crazy stat.
At the end, it is crazy.
Good.
But it was kind of what we're saying. Like he's got like that the sense of, I don't know why I keep saying entitlement, but it's like this sense of like, it's written in the stars that I will make this shot, and it's like it doesn't work that way. He does take some stupid shots, but you can't call him out on it because you just gotta let him do his thing. He's the one guy that's allowed to do whatever the hell he wants. But yeah, that is pretty crazy that he makes like every single end of quarter, shot clock, buzzer beater, but then at the end of the game when it's close,
he's never done it.
Yikes. NFL schedules will be released Thursday. Shout out to the NFL for like making people care about that. I saw this in Games Early today, and my takeaway, TJ, we have way too many international games. Here's my galaxy brain idea that it's a half-baked idea. I think what the NFL needs to do is stop sending teams to international destinations and trying to get every single team, getting them a taste of Germany and getting them a taste of London and all that sort of thing. And I think what they need to do is they need to pick one team, maybe the Chargers. Chargers don't have a ton of support in Los Angeles. Maybe the Jaguars, they're an obvious pick as well. Pick one team to be the permanent international team that basically, if you're trying to tap into the rest of the world to become football fans, this is the one team that every other country cheers for. This is the Mexican fans can cheer for them, the English fans can cheer for them, the German fans. It's basically America versus the world. This is Team World, and Team World plays all of their home games at all the international sites. Now, you're saying to yourself, Titus, that's a terrible idea, and you might be right, but don't think about it too hard. Just think about it in that sense of how cool it would be if there was like one team that was like Team World, and like they play in Mexico City one game, and then they play in London, and then that way, instead of like when you turn on the London game and you see like every single NFL team represented with jerseys, they're all cheering for the same team, and that team just bounces around. Good luck trying to find players that want to play for that team. I understand.
Now leave that out of the clip.
Leave
all of the refutable points out of the clip.
Leave the refutable points out of the clip. I haven't worked that out yet. I haven't worked out like, yeah, I haven't worked that out, like all the travel logistics, because they were basically playing a different city for every single game. But the idea, it works in Madden. I'll put it that way. Like the idea on a video game when like these aren't real people and they're just like video game avatars.
Yeah,
that works. That's a cool idea, is it not, TJ? Wouldn't you say so? Like if the San Diego, the Los Angeles / San Diego Chargers, if they were the World Chargers, that was their name, the World Chargers.
Yeah. I'd say have them play home games in Antarctica, which is a scientific research facility.
Yeah,
and they could be the Antarctica polar bears. I don't know if that's geopolitically accurate if they have polar bears there or not, but that's a pretty cool mascot. And you could build a stadium at the apex. Because our Antarctica is drawn like a pie chart with all the countries that own it. So if they played right at the middle, they'll be playing in like 12 different countries at one time.
The shareholders of the Packers shareholders would never go for that. They would have an identity crisis. They'd be like, if we can't have the frozen tundra,
the even more frozen tundra.
Then who are we?
Bills Mafia in Antarctica
Bills
would be
Mafia.
amazing, though.
I think the Chargers should play. You get how many home games do you get these days? 8? You still get 8?
17 games, so
8.5. You get 8.5
Yeah.
home games. You play 8, 9. You play one game in Mexico City. You play one game in Vancouver. You play one game in Toronto. You play one game in London. You play one game in Paris. You play one. I don't know. On and on and on. And those are your home games. And then all your road games you play. Again, that's a shit ton of travel.
Yeah.
And I don't know where these guys are gonna live full time, but we'll leave that out of the clip. So there you go. I think that's it. That's all I have. Tears of the Kingdom on Friday. Tears of the Kingdom comes out Friday. That was the other thing I was gonna say. So that's what I'll be doing this weekend. Good luck to everybody that's going to be doing the same. I'm excited to dive in, see what that's about. Do you have a Switch? You're not a Switch
I might
guy.
buy
You're more of a
one
Call of
for
Duty
this
guy.
reason. I've been looking for a good excuse to buy like a bundle or something, because I can play other similar games. I can play like a kart racer and not play Mario Kart. But
first
this might be the
game-
one.
The first Zelda game was the most on the Switch was the most in-depth video. And again, I'm not on your level of video gamer. I'm not saying. I'm just speaking from my experience. It was the most in-depth game I've ever seen in my life. Like it was insane. I played that thing for 1,000 hours and got like halfway through it.
Yeah.
So I'm fired up to see what this is about. All right, that's the show. Dude, hopefully next time we do a show, we'll be talking about all the Game 7s. We'll get the Mother's Day Game 7 three-way. The Mother's Day three-way, I think is what they're calling it. I think that's what the NBA is marketing it as. 3 Game 7s on that's what I'm cheering for. I hope we get 3 Game 7s. That'd be a ton of fun. But either way, we'll be back Tuesday. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. See ya.